Good day, everyone. We're back to my channel again. We'll be looking into the level 2 AAT qualification principles of bookkeeping control practice assessment 1 in this video. This is basically an offshoot of your bookkeeping control units from previous AQ 2016 qualifications, but now we in 2022 we just changed the code. AAT decided to go, okay, this is going to be called POBC. I think that's the code for this exam, and this exam is almost the same as the one we have covered previously in our channels, but again there are some changes to it. And then of course this is an opportunity for to look into the exam module, and then of course we're going to be discussing what are the potential pitfall you may have in this assessment. We find this used to be the hardest unit of all on your level 2 qualification. If you consider the synoptic assessment, it's not an issue for you because you have good writing skills. When it comes to that synoptic assessment, there are 18 marks there for just for written task. So in this principles of bookkeeping control unit, you will not have any written tasks. It's all computer based, and it is, according to this, it's for 1 hour 30 minutes. You have 8 tasks there, and total marks you can get is 80. So therefore, if you want to get out of this 80 marks to pass, you need to make sure you have to take wait 1 second, let me find out. 80 divided by 100 multiply by 8, it's 64 marks. No, it's not 64. To get a 70 is 80 divided by 100 multiplied by 70. Yeah, 56 marks. If you get 56 marks out of the 80 you have, you obviously deem to have enough marks to pass this module. So we'll target that when we're going to do assessments, and then obviously it's a great opportunity for you to look into many different factors. Okay, let's start that by pressing the continue button, and then obviously you see the timer starting there, and you have the other options here. You may see about this. I'm not going to be discussing that every video. You probably find it from my previous videos anyway. So the first question is this task about using control accounts, and payables ledger control account shown balance is shown in the general ledger. Identify which one of the following is correct in relation to the payables ledger control account. It says the payable ledger control accounts enables quick identification of total amount owed by the business to suppliers, because that's a really good point there. So let's see, this is the amount, is a quick identification of the total amount owed by the business to the suppliers. It makes sense. Let's see a little bit more, because it might be the right answer, but you may find a better one underneath. So let's check it quickly. A payables ledger control account enables a quick identification of an amount owed to a specific supplier. That is not correct. Why? Because the payable ledger control account is the combination of all the suppliers' accounts. And if you want to find the individual account, you have to go to the payable ledger itself, your PL, which is a subsidiary ledger, and you'll be able to find individual amount of your every suppliers. Payables ledger control account should always be produced by the same person who produces the subsidiary ledgers, as it improves accuracy. That's not right. The word when they say always here, that's straight away making it as irrelevant. This statement is not going to be 100% right, so we can ignore that one. A payables ledger control account enables discrepancies between the bank and the subsidiary ledger to be quickly identified. It makes no sense at all, because there's no correlation between bank and the subsidiary ledger when it comes to the ledger control account. So the answer 1 is the correct one. Let's move on to the next. Now, if you notice the reference bit pop up here, that means you may be able to split your screen. If you want to go answer the question underneath and you have to scroll back and forward, instead of doing that, we can do that reference. What it does, it just keeps this figure on this side, so you can go back and forward. All right. So here you work in accounts department of Sturco Limited. Your manager has run a report which shows the credit balance of the VAT control account at the end of February as £3,800. The credit balance at the end of January is 8,000. 710. Your manager has asked you to prepare the VAT control account to explain why the February shows a lower balance. And then obviously you need to know what could be the reason for that. So let's see how we can start entering that. Here, if you look at that here, let's put the reference back again. So we click on this bit. So we'll be able to isolate whatever is in there, so we can bring everything together. Yeah, now we can see all of that part here, and then we can work on that question here anyway. So remember, this is the balance from the previous month, and this is the new credit balance. So what we now have to do, we need to check whether we can populate all the information there and find each pick what it's going to be. You must ensure the number is entered in the each space is provided. So what we got here, VAT on sales. Remember, with VAT control account, it's very simple. If you can remember one transaction where the VAT going to fall, one of it, everything else will fall in as like jigsaw puzzles there, or you can say Lego blocks. You just start to build that from that information. So let's see here. VAT on sales, it's something we collect, we owe to HMRC. We know from that it is going to be a liability to the business. The entry in this system on the VAT control account is going to be a credit entry. If you look at your sales day book, you remember your total VAT and net. The total is going to be going to your receivable ledgers control account. As an asset is the amount they owe you. That's a debit. And then obviously you have uh, credit entry for your sales and your VAT. And here we have the sales information now. So we put the sales here, 4,800. This is your sales VAT here. And they didn't say anything about it decimal places, so we just leave it as it is. And also you don't have to do the 1,000 separators. Okay, so it's absolutely fine. And then if you know your sales is this side, your purchases has to be on the opposite side. So they have given you the option for the purchases. And we have done that for £2,000 there. And then we have this side, we're going to look at it. If your sales is this side, purchase return, and the sales return is going to be opposite side. If the purchase is here, purchase return is going to be the opposite side. So here on the sales return, we have £130. And the purchase returns is going to be £80. And then similar to your sales return, your discount allowed will be something opposite to your sales. So they will be on your debit side of your VAT control account. And if you look at that, I didn't write this down, did I? £80 here. And then here we have discount received, which is similar to your purchase returns. And this is going to be £30. And then also we have the last one, the VAT on cash sales is exactly same as here. So we say cash sales. This is going to be £150 because we are collecting VAT that time. So we owe it back to HMRC. So we put that here. And the last one, the least, we're going to have the bank. Remember, in your bank account, if the money paid to HMRC is going to be on the credit side, the VAT control account will have the bank on the debit side. So it's going to be 7,820 now. Now let's see whether all my information is correct. So I'm going to use my calculator quickly, see if I can find it. There you go. Use a scientific calculator when it comes to accounting. If you use your traditional calculator, it's absolutely fine, but it's going to be very easy. If you're doing multiple numbers, you have to add so many of them there. You'll be able to go back and check your trace of every entry. So if you make one error with one number, you have to redo all of it on a traditional calculator. If you're doing a scientific calculator, you should be able to do a little bit better on that one. Okay, so here £2,000 plus £130 plus £20 plus 7,820 is equal to 9,970. You add that balance carry down figure, it's going to give you 13,770 there. But the credit side, we add that 4,800 plus 80 plus 30 plus 150, I have 13,770. So it makes sense now. Whatever we entered, it is all going to the right side. Your debits now matching your credit side. Okay. So now let's go to further down. I don't need that other column anymore. Here, GAL Limited has following receivables ledger control account. So they're asking you with this information here, what will be the balance carried down on the receivable ledger control account. So what we now have to do, we have to total your debit column and the credit column to see which one is got the highest amount, and the difference between those two will go in the lesser side. So for example, receivables ledger control account, it is absolutely has to be a debit balance because it's the amount we expecting from our customers. It's an asset. Therefore, it always should have a debit balance. If it's gone on credits, means something's really wrong there. So here we're going to add all of that, take all of that away. The amount will be the balance carried on. So let's find out how I'm going to calculate it. I'm going to do 59,390 minus 820 minus 28,716 minus 920. We will do 28,890 will be the answer. 1 mark for that one, so it's fine. Once you completed it, press answer button, and then it will move you to the next part. So here they're talking about we are looking into reconciling control accounts. The balance on the ledger control account will appear in the year-end trial balance. It is important to reconcile this to the receivables ledger. Identify which one of the following statement is a reason for completing this reconciliation. So the first one is receivable ledger is always more accurate than the receivable ledger control account. You can't, like say that. Obviously, the word always is always going to be some sort of a problem because it gives an absolute condition. This is going to be more accurate. That is never going to be the case. Error in either receivable ledgers or the receivable ledger control account can be identified and corrected. Yes, that makes sense. Either one of that can be found because we may make error here or error there. Anyway, we may be able to find that and then obviously be able to correct it. Receivable ledger control account can be deleted once it has been reconciled, which keeps the which helps to keep the record keeping simple. That's not right. We don't delete anything off. We have to keep them in record. This is the only way we can maintain all the necessary requirements. Any errors can be identified and included in the suspense account balance. Now, any errors can be identified. Not every error can go into paste in the suspense account. Some of the errors will not require suspense accounts because you will fulfill the minimum requirement of a double entry. You may have a debit entry and equal and opposite credit entry, but it may be on the reverse way or it goes on the wrong account, but it can be what do you call again, error of original entry. So therefore, there will not be a requirement of suspense account for everything. Okay, so that is absolutely fine. The answer is going to be second one. Now then we have here, you work in the accounts department of Cakes for You Limited. You have been asked to reconcile the balance on the payables ledger control account to your suppliers report. The following suppliers report as at 31st of March has been provided. Okay, so now we're going to look at the amount owed, and then we also see the payment terms days. This information can be also viewed in the reference section to the right. If the payables ledger control account reconciles with the payable ledger, what will be the balance? So what we now, if you have to think about it, the balance is going to be all the accounts total together. And if you notice that there is no different balances, all probably from the same side, what we're going to do, we're going to individually add that figures together, plus 8980 plus 7658 plus 6523 plus 2987 plus 783 plus 238 plus 54, and that is giving me 55,992 pounds. Okay, so this is a way to look into that first. And then you also have this, the payables ledger control account showing you a different balance. The balance is given to you as, hold on, let me just check it again. Is out by several amount anyway. So let me see whether I have all my information correct. 7698980.58. It's 700 pounds, but still, I just want to make sure I have done everything right here. 23 787 783 238 and 54. So that gave me an answer of 55992. 55992 is the answer there. So the difference between those two accounts is that minus 55261 is 731 pounds. And then they were going to say, is it going to be more or lesser than the ledger control account? If you notice that here, the ledger control account is less. So in that case, payable ledger control account is less than the payable ledger. This is the balance of the payable ledger, and this is the balance of the payables ledger control account. So now they're saying to you, this is a different question. The receivable ledger control account shows a balance of 87,786. Okay. And the individual balances in the receivable ledger only adds up to 85,382. So now we know this has got a higher amount than this one. Your payable ledger control, so receivable ledger control account is higher than your receivable ledger individually. So it may be good if you look into this scenario here. There are 5 marks. In the past there used to be 1 or 2 marks. Now they're giving you 5 marks to find out whether it's acceptable or not acceptable. This reasoning could be explaining the differences or not explaining the differences. So therefore it's best if you devise a method how to get this working for you. So I'm going to quickly bring a spreadsheet now. I have got some spreadsheet open here anyway. Then on that spreadsheet, I'm going to split with the screen we have now. Where is that? Where's that? Where's that? So I'm going to see whether we can share the desktop. Let me see on Teams. I may have an option to share the desktop. Stop sharing, share screen. Okay, so here I'm going to bring the spreadsheet up now. I'm going to keep on the side here. You can still see that with the other files you have available. Yeah, let me just resize it a little bit so I will be able to do this assessment a little bit better. So what I normally do in this scenario, I will use my sense how I'm going to be entering several T accounts. So here, what I will do, let me see, there's another way around it. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to design it quickly. So here I'm going to say this is my RLCA. And this one is going to be my receivable ledger, individual account. So normally the balances on your RLCA is on this side, on the debit side, because these are the amount your customer owe you. So here, what if we'll say a sale to a new customer was missed from the list of individual balances when totaling the receivable ledger. Okay, so here, imagine this is the amount we normally start with. This is the amount we have done that. Okay, so now what we have said here, a sale to a new customer was missed from the list of individual balances when we totaling the receivable ledger. So here we have done the £10. For example, I'll just say it's a £10 sales. We start with £100 because it's easier. We can add and remove something from there. Don't go to thousands, 10,000s. Keep it simple. £100 is easier because we can use the entries, the other entries as £10. It makes a little bit more sense. So now if you look at that, this is supposed to be higher. This is high and this is low. This is what my plan is. If I do that, I find it a lot easier if I can put some letters or the numbers to these sentences. So we'll be able to see that a little bit more clear. So here the amount is, we have done this when we total that we got 110, but here we missed the sales invoice that was completely missed from these balances. We have £100 there. So it is at confirming to my previous scenario of the amount is higher on here on the ledger control account than the purchase sales ledger. Yeah, it is. So we are going to say, yes, that explains the difference. Now let's go back in again and check whether we have the next one working. A sales invoice has been recorded twice in this receivable ledger. So this is your receivable ledger. When we entering something here, we enter it once. So we have done this on your RLCA. We having the same amount on your receivable ledger, individually confirming it. But then when we enter it twice, what happens? We're putting more on the debit side. So the balance in this scenario is going to be 120. And here is 110. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do as a formula as sum of, what do I got here? Minus, what was there? Close. Yeah, so here Control C, Control V. I have the same formula there. Okay, so whatever we enter will automatically go there. If you don't enter, it will go on the credit side, it just removes it. So according to this, RLCA is a lower balance than your receivable ledger. So that is not correct. So it will not explain the difference. So the next one is a cash sales has not been recorded. When you're saying about cash sales, that's nothing to do with my RLCA. RLCA will not get an entry into the individual ledger or your control account because your cash sales goes in your cash book. So will not go affecting any of these balances. So that is not going to be affecting the amount. And the fourth one is a transposition error was made when the initially recording the sales in the day book. So when we initially recording something on the day book, a transposition error, for example, instead of say 54 pounds, I put 45 pounds. So the same amount on the total will affect the same the both of both of these accounts. So therefore, this will not be the case because a transposition error, when you make an error, that error simply going to affect both of these boxes. So that's not going to be explaining the difference. And then the last one is a discount allowed to a customer has been recorded twice in the individual customer accounts in the receivable ledger. So when you're allowing a discount, for example, that removes the balance from the account. This is what you do because your customer will end up paying less when you give them a discount. But what we've done here, we put that discount twice. Because we've done that discount twice, what is happening now? We have 90 pounds here and 80 pounds here. It's just an example, but your RLCA will show higher balance than your receivable ledger. So that can be a right scenario. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to go back into the next question now. We have completed it and let's go back there. Let me see whether I can stop the sharing again. So here we have a question. This task is about payment methods and reconciling the cash book to the bank statement. Insert one payment method for each description by dragging the appropriate option into the space provided. It should be fairly straightforward here now. A method of making same regular payment directly from the bank account. That's going to be a standing order. Why? You decide how much is the amount and you'll pay the same amount. It will be slightly different to one more method there. We will see that later on. A payment made by card, which immediately impacts the bank account. That is going to be a debit card. It won't be a credit card because it will be end of the next financial period, like month. Next month, it will be affecting the balances. A signed written order to a bank to transfer a specific amount money to a payee. We're going to call that the tax, isn't it? Bank automated credit. Sorry, hold on. This is the written order. It is not going to be that. It's a written order. That's definitely a check. If it's an electronic order, that is going to be a BACS. Okay, so it's a written order means this is definitely a check. A method of making regular payment from the bank account, which can vary. So in that case, instead of this, we have the same amount. Here, it is a varying amount. So therefore, this is going to be a direct debit. In the standing order, we decide how much to pay. In the direct debit, the payee will demand the amount it's owed to them. Therefore, the amount can be different. Not I'll say it will be different. It can be different all the time. Like if you're paying a Netflix, you still set up a direct debit. Netflix will charge you so and so, like what, $7.99, $8.99. I haven't got a clue myself, but that is the amount it goes from your account regularly. A business is reconciling its bank statement to its cash book balance. Which one of the following statement is true? All errors in the accounts can be identified by completing a bank. What was that again? A bank reconciliation. No. When they say all, it is incorrect because some of the errors might not be still be able to identify just by doing a bank reconciliation. Most of the errors or Errors can be identified if they say like that. If they say, oh, that is not true. As bank statement is independent, cash book total will always be changed to agree to the bank statement total. No, that is not also right, because if it's even independent, doesn't matter. We can't change our cash book according to what is your bank balance total is, because obviously there are timing differences, isn't it? Therefore, your bank statement will not show all the relevant information. And also, if you can notice, the cash book total will always be, that is also wrong. It can be changed to agree with the bank statement total, but not always. But the third one, the cash book may be more accurate than the bank statement balance as the results of timing differences, of course, because you know your data is going to be much more clearer because you have done it. Bank statement might not be exactly the same because there are people who may not have cashed their check, or the amount you paid into the bank account is not cleared yet. So that is the more palatable answer. And if you look at the word here, they say may be more accurate. So that means it can be. So that is a really good way of identifying your answers are there. So when you get a wordy question like that way, guys, it's good to find the markers. The markers are the all, always, only. Okay, these kind of words mean you can only have that option. Cannot be a different one. So therefore, your answers definitely have to be perfect, which not always the case. So therefore, look for something like here, can be the result. So in this scenario here, maybe. So it is giving you a leniency both ways. Same thing we're going to apply for this true and false statements. Let's see. A direct debit for mobile phone bill is of £93 is shown in the bank statements, but it is not in the cash book. So therefore, £93 will need to be deducted in the bank reconciliation to make it agree to the cash book. That is not true, because we don't deduct anything with this in which is in the bank statement on the reconciliation statement. Anything not in the on the cash book, but it's in the bank statement, we have to update our cash book with it. So when we're updating it, any payments will go on the credit side of your cash book. Any receipts will go on the debit side of your cash book. In this scenario, we don't do that in the bank reconciliation. That is a false one. Unpresented checks and outstanding lodgements. Yeah, the other two ones, they are the two instances you use your bank reconciliation statement where you can add and remove either one of them. It depends on what is the scenario. Reconciliation. Unpresented checks and outstanding lodgements and bank interest are all example of timing differences. That is not wrong, not right. Because if you see the bank interest is not a timing difference because it's already happened. If it's already happened in the bank, it has to be updated in your cash book, isn't it? So therefore, this is never going to be a timing difference. Timing difference are the first two only. Comparing the credit side of the cash book to the amount paid out in the bank statement will enable any automated payments that may have been missed in the cash book to be identified. Perfect. Because if you look at that, on your credit side is all your checks issued, anything you know you already paid out. But when you're looking at your bank statement, you probably see something more than that. It could be something automated payments like a direct debit to the electricity, direct debit to council tax, direct debit of anything else which you're not aware of, or phone bill, for example, you may not know the amount. So therefore, this statement, it makes perfect sense now. Now let's answer and move on. Task number 4. This task is about reconciling bank statement with cash book. The cash book for Peter's building a business at 30th September, 30th of April is shown below. Peter pays all of his checks, supplies by check. His customer will pay him by either checks or bank transfer. So you have these two options, but Peter pays only by check. So here we have two instances there. What they want you to do, update the cash book to prepare the bank reconciliation for the 30th. So we have a closing balance here, which is a debit balance. So let's bring the reference up now. So we can work together to find anything which needs to be updated here. So here, according to this is my cash book. This is the amount we have already got. That is the debit balance. Now, this is credit means it's going to be a debit here. We're going to look at it, see anything, it's not be matched. So what we do, we're going to use the highlighter. It's easier if you can find your highlighter option as a way of identifying what is missing and what is not. So look at the starting balance now. The starting balance according to this is £5,432, but here £5,988. So there is already a discrepancy there. So let's find out what could be the reason for that discrepancy. 5988 minus 5432, it gives me £556. But do I have anything here matches that £556, but I haven't seen anything directly as such an amount. But if you add two or multiple information, or if you take one away from each other, which might give you the same amount as that, because of the timing differences, certain amounts might not have gone through as we expected. So let's see here. There is a check of 430, and there is also a check from S. Santi for 986. Look at the difference between those two. 896 minus 430 is equal to 556. Therefore, these two are your timing differences from the previous period. So this check number also, this is earlier than that check number. So therefore, I can identify these two with my opening balance, and that should bring me to this balance here. So let's prove it. We have £5,432, and we have payment in from Senti, which is 896, so 986 minus the 430, it gives me the 5,988. So these things are very crucial for you when you get to this question, because you will not find these two information here because they were from the previous period. So therefore, you have to be very careful. If you see this, and if you think, oh, these are the one we have to adjust it for, you straight away fail. First, you have to remember, you have to reconcile these balances. Okay, these balances must be reconciled before we move forward to the next one. So let's see here, 899, 899, it's there. 1,100, 1,100 is there. 2,300, 2,300 here. 580, it's not there, and 999 not there. So we probably have some timing differences to deal with. 1,300, 1,300 there. 210, which is not here. And then we also have 1,190. So here we have found those information anyway. So what do you now see in your bank statement? This is your bank statement. There is 1, 2, 3 entries are there, which we need to update in my cash book. So let's see here. I'm going to say first information is direct debit for electric co. And then you also have a bank charges. And the last one is going to be transfer from a Smythe. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the relevant amount now. So it's £154 here, 154. And this amount is going to be 12. So here it's 12. And this one is a debit entry because it's the money coming in. So 580 is a debit entry now. Okay, so here I'm going to find the new adjusted balance carried down. So if you add this and this, it's not a brought down they're asking, they want you a carried down figure. So now what we're going to do, we're going to add the debit side for 86 plus 580 minus 154 minus 12. That gives me exactly £9,000 of a balance. So now what we have done, we have adjusted our cash book to £9,000. But then it is still doesn't give us the 100% answer. We still have some more to account for. Here, for example, oh, sorry, this one is gone away. So here, now what I need to do, I have to still reconcile the bank statement balance. So here, the bank statement balance is 8,211, and anything in your cash book, but not in your bank statement, these are the two entries. AFG tools and H Khan. These two are for you, they're the timing differences. So now, first thing we add, I'm going to get rid of the highlighter, but I can't if I do that because I'll lose all of it. So I'm just going to leave it as it is, and then I'm going to do that. I'm going to add H Khan because it's an outstanding lodgement, because this money possibly can come in later on. And then we have the next one for AFG tools, which is going to be a unpresented check for £210. So now let's find out whether I have £9,000 as it shows in my calculation above. So 8,211 plus 999 minus 210, it gives me new total as per cash book amount of £9,000. So I'm going to close this reference bit and I'm going to highlight out of it now. I don't need highlighter anymore. But if you notice, your answers are, hold on, okay, that's gone. Are matching. The new adjusted cash book balance is matching your adjusted closing balance of your bank reconciliation statement. You have 12 marks on these questions, guys, and then please make sure follow the close because your opening balances are not matching it. It is not always a given. You'll get the same answer. So be careful with that. So I'm answering it and I'm moving on to the next one. Identify which two of this following situation would be a correct use of the journal. So the first one, Harry thinks he may have spent at least £200 on mobile phone bills, then is currently showing on the mobile phone expenses account. He will therefore process £200 debit via journal. Okay, so if you think that way, what is the problem I may have and what is the problem I might not have? So here I have to think about it because if you think he has spent more, but we don't have a bill for that yet. So we don't have to process that payment via the journals yet because there's no evidence to support that one. So whatever he's assuming, he can't just go on there and do a journal entry for that one. That is not the correct one. Mary has received receivables list and identified a customer who owes £200. The debt is now 1 year overdue, and the customer no longer lives at the address Mary has on record. She wishes to write the balance off. This is a really good example of a usage of journal. When you're doing a journal entry, it is normally one-off entries, something, a special entry, year-end adjustment, or the year beginning adjustments. So therefore, this is a good example of writing off irrecoverable debt. What do? You debit irrecoverable debt account, debit the VAT, credit the RLCA, and then this amount of £200 will be written off there. So therefore, this is a correct usage of journal. Next one, Rakib has noticed that his repairs and maintenance expenses account balance is much larger than he would expect. And on investigation, he identifies an asset acquired for £3,000 has been incorrectly coded to repairs and maintenance. He wishes to correct this by debiting the asset and crediting the expense. It makes total sense. This is an error of commission. The expenses account has been overstated by £3,000. So to remove that one, we have to credit that account and then debit the asset account. That can be done by a journal entry, and that is a correct usage of it. Then they say it's only 2 marks. So I don't think the fourth one is going to be a proper answer, but let's check it. Veronica is selling her business and wants to leave the purchaser detailed notes on how the business works. She will record this in the journal. No, we don't do that, these kind of things in the journal. It can be sent as a, what do you call it again? An advertisement there. It's nothing to do with the journal. So that is fine. A journal has been recorded in the accounting system as follows. These are the entries, the payroll liabilities, description, net pay, payroll, gross pay, payroll expenses, taxes, liability, HMRC, credit. Okay. Prior to this journal, the balance on the payables, payroll liabilities to HMRC account has been an amount of debit of £49. Okay, so that means there might be something coming back from HMRC. Therefore, maybe a tax rebate. So therefore, it shows you a balance of £49. After the journals are processed, what will be the revised balance on the payroll liabilities HMRC account? So if you look at that here, HMRC account on the payroll liability, we have 3 credit entries going in there, and there's already a debit balance on to start with. So let's total all your credit balances. 2384 plus 2187 plus 1856. So I have amount of £6,427. Since there is a debit balance there, we have to take the debit balance away, and the amount is going to be for £6,378. That should be the right answer for this. So here, that's it. There's no more on this one. The following invoice has been outstanding for more than 6 months. Simon wishes to write off the amount as a irrecoverable debt. Okay. So what we now have to do, what is the entries here? We have 3 descriptions are there. What is that for? They're all relating to irrecoverable debt. This is the invoice of the customers no longer be able to pay. So what we need to remember, the one I told you about earlier, this amount, total amount due, 456. This is on your RLCA. Your receivable ledger control account has this information on the debit side. Okay, that amount now has to be completely removed. So what we now have to do, we have to go there and look for the receivable ledger control account and take that £456 away. Because we've done that, VAT on this particular expense or the invoice can be reclaimed back because we have charged that for sales. If the customer is no longer paying you, we have an option to reclaim that back. So we're going to say the VAT account, it's going to be having £76 on the debit side. Normally it's a credit when you're doing a sales. When you reclaim it, it's going to be a debit. And same to the expense of the irrecoverable debt, it's going to be your net amount of £380. Okay, so here 380 will be a debit entry, and these two added together will give you the amount we're going to be taking from credit side of your receivable ledger control account. So let's answer that and let's move on. Now, task number 7. We have 3 more questions to do. We got 50 minutes, so plenty of time. This task is about using the journals to correct the errors. Identify which, all right, okay, suspense account is shown in the trial balance of Warren's business. Identify which 2 of the following statements about suspense accounts are true. Depending on whether it is debit or credit, it will be included as either an asset or liability in the final account. Okay, so with the a suspense account, we can use it as a asset or liability. Or do you think that is going to be possible? I don't think that's suspense account gets ever carried over like that way as an asset or a liability, because we don't know what is that for. That is the reason we create the suspense accounts. We will never going to create that to carry over. Okay, so this is not going to be an answer. A suspense account will always exist if there is an error in the account. Now, it is not true. There are 6 errors. If you remember, this will not create a suspense account, like error of commission, error of omission, error of original entry, error of what is that again? Compensating errors, and you also have error of principal, and the last one is going to be a reversal of entries. So these are the 6 errors which will not create a suspense account. So that is also not the right answer. So we eliminated the first 2. The last 2 should be correct because they are for 2 statements. The suspense accounts has only identified errors that result in an imbalance in the trial balance, of course, because suspense account will not be coming into play any other way. But here, when you say only, it gives you one option. That is absolutely right there. It's not universally saying this is the only one. No, you will not get suspense account if there is balance in your trial balance. If the debits and credits are matching, you don't need a suspense account anyway. So that makes sense. The suspense account cannot remain in the final accounts. That is also true because we must clear the suspense account. We can do whatever is necessary. And if you can't cover it, there is more, what do you call, adjustments needs to be done. That needs to be done by the people higher up. It's not down to yourselves. Okay. Identify whether each of the errors described below would or would not be disclosed by the trial balance. So remember the same thing we have discussed earlier. We're going to look into whether it's going to be affecting our T accounts, balances, and how they're going to be doing it. Dharmesh made cash sales of £180. He put the cash into his wallet, completely forgot to record the sale in the accounts. Dharmesh, that's not a good thing to do, to be honest. But anyway, we will find a way to do it because this is something we call an omission. Error of omission means he completely forgot to record this into the sale of the account. So therefore, sale in the accounts. So therefore, there's no debits, no credits, which is not going to be disclosed by the trial balance, is it? So that is the error of omission. Next one, Sally made a transversion error when entering opening balance into the new accounting system. She entered a non-current asset balance as 9,840 instead of 9,480. So one entry is been made incorrectly when we moved into the balances. So when we moved that, we made an error on one side, debit side of a non-current asset account. Everything else is fine. So therefore, there's definitely an imbalance on your system. This will eventually will be deducted by disclosed by your trial balance there. When you're going to put the trial balance in order, your credit balance is going to be higher than your debit. Hold on, this balance instead of that. So your debit balance is going to be higher. Your debit is going to be showing at least what, 380, 360 pounds. So yeah, it's 360 higher than your credit side. So this will definitely have will result in a suspense account be entered. Seema and Paul run a small business selling party bags uh, for the children's birthday parties. They operate a manual accounting system, have prepared a trial balance at the year end. The trial balance shows total debits of 19,876 and total credits of 24,854. They have identified two errors. Error one, total of sales day book for end of February is 2498. When processing this total to general ledger, Paul credited both sales and the receivable ledger control account. So this is completely gone on the opposite side. And then next one, in March, Paul paid an electricity bill. He correctly credited the cash book for £124, but he recorded this as a debit into the electricity expense account as £142. So here, there's an error of what do you call entry into the same side twice, and there's also error into one side completely wrong as well. Okay, so therefore we have to find what will be the corrections for that one. So here the first one is the balance of the suspense accounts as shown below. So what we're going to do, we're going to find the difference between those two accounts, the balances 24854 minus 19,876. That gives me an amount of 4,978. So here, that is the amount. We have done that. And we also going to say this is going to go in the debit side because otherwise your balances won't match. So if you've done that on the debit side, 4,978, that gives you the total balance of 24,854 on the both sides. So now they're asking you complete the table below to show the debits and credits that will be processed to clear the suspense account. So now for this one, I have to remember what are the things I need to do here. I'm going to bring my good old spreadsheet to here. I'm going to bring the spreadsheet now to work with this error. So here, the first error, according to this, this was entered into both debit, credit on the sales account and the sales ledger control account. The entry should be debit RLCA for the amount of 2498, credit sales 2498. Since this was entered credit, the way we can clear the error is we have to debit this amount into your RLCA twice. Okay, so the amount has to be entered into RLCA twice. So the debit entry here, according to this is going to be equal to this multiplied by 2. Multiplied by 2 means I'm going to get 4996. So this is the entry I'm going to debit into RLCA to correct the error. So here I'm going to choose receivable ledger control account. And the second entry has to be a suspense account. And then from this, your common sense is, your suspense already have a credit entry. So you need one more debit entry on the suspense account so we can clear the error. But then we'll see what was the error again. Whole correctly credited the cash book with £224. The entry should be debit, electricity, credit, cash book. Okay, so here the amount should be 124. And here also 124. What happened here? Instead of 124, you put 142 there on the debit side. So to remove it, what we need to do, first we have to, this is a correction. You have to credit this first with 142 and then debit it 124. So basically, if you want to do the electricity account, credit it 142 and debit it 124. You're removing these two balances. So this is going to be canceling each other out. So I'm going to just put it on as red. They're canceling each other out and it gives you a new debit balance of 124. But what is the net effect of it? If I want to put that into journal, it's going to be a simple net effect of crediting this electricity account by amount of £18. This is the net effect of these two entries. If you look at that, credit 142, debit 124 means it's simply credit entry of £18. So here I'm going to choose credit 18 for electric expense. And definitely the next entry is suspense account. But if you look at these two suspense accounts, it is going to give you two entries equal to £1,978, sorry, £4,978 to the credit side of it. That will eventually clear this balance. So therefore, your suspense account is gone. It's no longer there. And that will give you a good indication of your errors are all being sorted. There's no further questions on this part. Let's move on. Question number 9. Question number 9 is complete the remaining ledger accounts by inserting the balance carried down on each account. Enter your answers to two decimal places. So please be careful when you see these two decimal places, your answers must reflect that. So here they want you to do just to balance T account. So what we now have to do here, we just have to use our calculator to our best knowledge. Here you go. 524.78 plus 7,000. Now let's do the credit side first because they have the balance carried down here. So this is definitely going to be higher than this amount. So let's do this first here. 11,674.22 plus 520 plus 42,445.67 equal to £54,639.89 minus 42,524.78, 42,524.78 minus 7,767.86 minus 2,000. That gives me an amount of £3,047.25. So I have to do the decimals accordingly. We have done that now. Let's look at the next one. 406.44 plus 12245.86 minus 9006.20. That gave me an answer of £3,646.10. These are fairly straightforward, guys. I'm going to just quickly, because there's no balance before. This is the new balance. So it's going to be 355.87. I don't need a calculator for this at all. And the last but the least, we have to add all this payable ledger control account 5432.11 plus 33249.76 minus 42445.67. That gives me a new balance of £6,236 and 2 Zero, must put that zero there. It doesn't show in your calculator, but you must do that when you're doing the calculation now. So what we now have to do, we have to put the rest of the information we have extracted from here. Now, if I do a credit balance here, sorry, the balance carry down here, that will be coming down to the debit side. So here, the bank will have 3,047.25, 3,047.25. That is the amount. The VAT control account according to this. This is a balance carried down on the debit side. So 364610. So here 3646.10. The answer for that. Make sure there's not a comma. It needs to be a full stop. Make sure if you ever used to it, please make sure there's no comma there. You have to do a full stop. And the last one is not last one before the last is 20. And discount allowed. It's a debit balance. So 355.87. So we've done all of that now. Let's match your trial balance, whether it's going to be giving you different totals, because it's just maybe an extract, but it might match all your answers. But let's check it, whether it's going to be the case. 45,030.98 plus 520 plus 2315.31 plus 26,043.67 plus 355.87, and I have 74,265 pounds and 83 pence. And let's go through the next one. 65,229.28 plus 307.25 plus 3646.10 plus 6236.20. So that given me slightly different answer. I'm not sure why. Give me a second. Did I use correct calculations? Let's see. 45,000. Maybe this amount. Yes, this amount is incorrect. So let me just work this out quickly. 4414342.11 plus 33249.76 plus 107. I missed out this 107 by the look of it. 42445.67. Yeah, that gives me incorrect amount here. 6343.20. So here, let's put the full stop properly. 6343.20. If I put that amount, I have 74,265 pounds and 83 pence, because it was out by 107 pounds. So I now know why I made the mistake, because if you haven't done that, you'll have a different answer here, because this is the missing amount between those two amounts when I entered it earlier. Now, let's carry on. One more question to do, and that gives you time to finish, compile and everything, and go on our merry ways. So let's look at this. This task about redrafting your trial balance. You got your sales, you have your purchases, and all the discount bank and everything here. And then also there are some journal entries there, and then we have to just add that into the right account. So if you look at that here, the accounts are adjusted for any problem we had because this is a suspense account entry into the suspense account. So if you look at that here, there is no suspense here. I do not have to worry about putting suspense balances there, but I have to update the purchases amount. Remember, purchase is the debit entry because purchase is an expense account. So the purchases account has a 34,998.67 pence, and the journal entry will give you more into the debit side because this is the entry into the debit side of your journal. So this one will give you a new balance for your purchase of 38,004.21. And do you have any change on your sales? Because I don't have to worry about my sales here. The sales account has 72,765.18. So 72,785. I think I got it right. 72,765.18. 765.18. Okay, so 765.18. And then the discount received account, they have given you the balance here. Where's the discount received is going to go to? Remember, sales is for what do you call no, hold on, discount receipt, because you receive your discounts from your suppliers. When you're receiving your discount from your suppliers, basically means you pay less to your suppliers. So it is going to be an indirect income for you. Imagine your purchase is an expense, discount receipt going to be a sort of an income for you. So this is a credit account there. Therefore, the amendment here is enter into the credit side of that one. So we're going to add to that £268.54 credit balance plus another credit amount from your suspense account corrections, which gives you £286.12. So we're going to do £286. See whether you have, yes, you have that tasks there. So you'll be able to enter the amounts accordingly. The bank account doesn't seems to be anything else here. They didn't say it's an overdraft. I'm going to put that in the debit side in that case. 038.29. And then also we have the plant and equipment, which is an asset, which is 7,333.99. And the receivable ledger control account, which is going to be an asset for you as well, because this is the amount your supplier, your customer owes you. So if you have all these balances against these balances, let's total these up to see what amount we're getting here. 04.21 plus 12,038.29 plus 7,333.99, 15874.81 equal to 73,051 pounds dot 30 pence. Let's add this one here on this one for the credit side. 0.18 plus 286.12, and I also get again the same amount of 73,051 pounds and 30 pence. That should probably do it. I got all the answers are done now. I haven't flagged any questions to come back to. Let's finish answering it and let's submit it. See what it says on my assessment. I may have made one or two silly mistakes, but no, I don't think I have. Luckily, I totaled all your questions, all 8 of them. You have 10, 10, 8, 12, 10, 10, 10, 10. That it gives you a grand total of ah, yeah, sorry about the slight delay there. Yeah, let me just bring the video up again. So here, what we have done now is the practice assessment one. I'm hoping to do the practice assessment two in another couple of days, or maybe end of this, or maybe start of next week. And I'll probably see whether I can upload that as well as quickly as possible. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Leave your comments. Make sure like and subscribe to the channel, and that certainly helped me with reaching more students, and obviously pass the information down. And you probably can share with your classmates, and obviously this will go a long way. And I appreciate your patience with me, and then I wish you a very good weekend, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye.